Okay, so we have the BOE minutes coming out, and what this is basically, Bank of England meets once a month to set their interest rate statement, and they have 9 members that vote, and basically there's a Mervyn King who is in charge of Bank of England, and he sits there and he records whether the members came in late or not, and that's what's considered minutes. Basically he records, okay, this guy came in 2 minutes late, that guy came in 5 minutes late, and if too many members are late, the minutes come out high. So that means that people are not taking their job responsibly, and that's not good for the pound. If everybody's on time, that means they care about their job, and that's usually better for the pound. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I'm just joking with you. Let's talk in serious terms about the Bank of England minutes. Okay, we have Bank of England meeting minutes coming out, and basically, as you know, these minutes are for the beginning of May interest rate hike that happened a couple weeks ago. And pretty much what it is Bank of England is one of the few countries that doesn't release the vote count of their members right away. As you may know, Japan does. They release it right away along with the interest rate statement, as far as I remember. The US does also. They release how many people voted for rate hike or not rate hike. But in England, we just see the interest rate statement and we see nothing else that's being released. Now, a couple of weeks later, after the interest rate announcement, the meeting minutes come out, and in the meeting minutes, the most important thing that the traders look at are the votes. As you can see, in the prior number, there was a vote of 7-2 to hold. Now remember, in the previous meeting, not this one, not in May, but in April, they didn't hike the rate. They kept the rate unchanged. But this month, they hiked the rate, and it's mostly expected that 8 members voted for a rate hike, and 1 member voted for unchanged rate. And the member that's voted for unchanged rate is Blanchflower, which is a famous dove in the UK, and dove means that he's against interest rate hikes. Just 2 months ago, in March, he voted for a rate cut. Okay? And it's expected that this month he voted for a no hike. So it's expected that he's the only one opposing, and it's not the first time when the UK hiked the rate and he was the only one opposing. So that's what's expected. Now, if for some reason Blanchflower, the famous dove, voted for a hike, and the vote was unanimous at 9-0, it should be bullish for the pound short term. Okay? Now, another thing that we're looking at here is, okay, before I go on there, let's kind of finish up what we just started talking about. If there was another person that voted for no hike, obviously it would be bearish for the pound. So if for some reason the vote comes out at 7-2 or 6-3, that means there's another member or members in addition to Blanchflower opposing the hikes. And as you may know, the only way they can hike the rate is if the majority are voting for a rate hike. That's why they have a strategic number of 9. That way there can always be a decision made. There's never a tie in the votes. Now, as you may know, the UK inflation has been high, the UK growth has been high, and a lot of people in the markets have been expecting at least another rate hike by the end of the year to slow down the growth. The question is how soon it's going to happen, and if, according to the vote, it's going to happen rather sooner than later. If the assumptions are such made, the pound would probably strengthen. Now, as I started talking, if the vote is 7-2 or 6-3 or 5-4, that means a lot more members than just Blanchflower, or at least one more, is opposing a rate hike. And that would mean that most likely a future rate hike would probably come out rather later than sooner, because the more people support it, the more likely it is to happen, than board members, that is. Now, another situation we need to consider here is that it's possible that one of these members have actually voted, instead of a quarter rate hike, to a half a point rate hike. Now, nobody had voted for a half a point rate hike in almost 10 years. So if one of the members all of a sudden becomes an extreme hawk and he votes for a hike of at least half a point, that should also be bullish for the pound, short term at least. And we'd have to take that into consideration. So here's how I'm planning to organize this trade. I have a manual controller with which, if I press a buy, all the secret new weapons will get a buy. If I press a sell, the secret new weapons will get a sell. Either way is going to have a deviation of 0 because it's a manual buy or sell, and only the SNS triggers mode will work in the weapon. So if you're using the weapon, keep that in mind. The reason we do that is the meeting minutes are released as text, and there is no numbers being fed into the weapon. So I actually have to read the text, and I have to make a decision in my mind, and then I have to press buy or sell. Now, there may be some other factors that may either continue the move on the pound, or it may cause a reversal that may accompany the vote. But the initial spike, the initial move, will be based on the vote. Because of such singularity here with the vote and the weapon and all that, we only have one level of triggers, and that's regular 15 pips limit triggers that I'm going to put 2 units on. That means I'm willing to be filled at 15 pips above the ask and 15 pips below the bid, or better. And as you can see here, if the vote is 9-0 or more, it says, but obviously it cannot be more than that, it would be a possible buy on GBP USD. If the vote is 7-2, 6-3, or 5-4, it would be a possible sell on GBP USD. Now, I may have to give an exit relatively quickly, because it does happen sometimes that the minutes retrace, though not as quickly as many times a trade balance does it, or whatever, some other smaller reports. This is a relatively important thing here. It's very possible that I may give an after spike trade either in the direction or on a retracement. I don't know yet. We're going to have to read the minutes, and we're going to have to make the decision of what's going on there. Perhaps what could happen is the minutes will come out the same at 8-1, and the pound may react negatively. I don't know. It could react either way at 8-1.